Judaism is Moses. Is that right? And Moses has got to float down that Nile River. They said they don't have no record of that. So therefore, listen to this now. If there's no Moses, and Moses is supposed to be the founder of Judaism, then that makes Judaism do what? Collapse. It collapsed. Right before your eyes, boom. Now every year the Jews practice and celebrate what they call the Passover. Is that right? So therefore, it's based on slaves building a pyramid. Jewish slaves. It's based on, their Passover is based on the 10 biblical plagues happening in Egypt. The Passover is based on the Exodus out of Egypt. And the Passover is based on wandering for 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness until Joshua found the promised land, right? So therefore, if none of this happened, the Jews said none of this happened, then the Passover that they're practicing is invalid. See that? See? So now, but see, the Jews have been saying this for going on 16 years now. You see? And all of the people in the African community and a lot of white folks, they don't realize what has happened. The Jews are saying that these things never happened. So when this young lady tells me that she's from Black Hebrew Israel, I said, look, young lady, you're way behind time. The Jews have said that just never happened, so you can cut all that out. Okay? You see that? So therefore, you see, if that was an Abraham, getting back to your question, if that was Abraham, don't you think they would have a celebration to honor Abraham's at his grave site and Sarah's grave site every year? They don't have that because there's nothing there. It's nothing there. It's fiction. It's put into the minds of the people all over the world. Okay? It's inundated into their thinking by way of these various religions, by way of the literature that's connected to these religions, is the Old Testament, in the Holy Bible for the Christians, and the Quran for the Muslims, and in the Sefer Torah for the Jews, and so forth and so on. You see, like I told you, going back to what I'm telling you, like I told you earlier, a Jew is created in the minds of the people. There's never been no human Jews walking around, living in Jerusalem and all that old kind of stuff like that. It's all in the story that they fed to you, and you believe it. So therefore, you in your belief, you have animated. It goes back to what I was telling you about the third side effect of animation. Okay? So wake up, young man.
My question, I just want to make a statement first.
Talk a little loud.
My statement is that I've studied your works and many other scholars, and from the Egyptian perspective, as far as the women being first, because Africa itself is a matriarchy. The system in which we, as Black African descendants in this country, exist, the patriarchy system, religion, and everything that you explained, I know of. My question is, how does a Black man knowledgeable of himself know that I'm a descendant of these ancient Egyptians, which actually means blacks, the word Egyptian, the color of the skin? How does a man who's well informed of all the things that most people don't know, have a woman gravitate to him? Because the system is a patriarchy, a male-dominated religion, culture, society. So how do you get a woman, an African woman, to gravitate to you? How do you inform her?
Well, first you have to inform yourself and know something and put something inside of you, okay, in order for you to attract something. If you're empty inside, I'm not saying you're empty, I'm not saying that about you. If an individual is empty inside, you're going to attract emptiness, okay? Lack, L-I-K-E, attracts lack, L-I-K-E, okay? My wife and I are like kind. I have an ancient Egyptian museum for 11 years in Chicago. She went to Egypt, okay, and coming back from Egypt, she asked her leader of the tour to give her a name of an individual, a telephone number of an individual that she can study with in Chicago, and they gave her Jacob Carruthers. And she went to work one day, and she wanted to call Carruthers because she wanted to set up a class schedule with him. And she left the number at home. And by me having an ancient Egyptian museum, and she asked for the Kemetic Institute. But there's no such thing as a Kemetic Institute because you cannot put an institute inside of another man's institution. That's what Carruthers had did. So there's no listing for that. So she said, the operator said, I don't have no listing for no Kemetic Institute. So my wife said, well, do you have anything from ancient Egypt? She says, oh yes, I have one at 3849 South Michigan Avenue. She said, well, give me that number. And she called that number. And she left her name and phone number on the machine. And I called her back. And we talked for 3 hours. Okay? Because at that time, I won't go into all that, but at that time I was open. I was available. Okay? I put it like that. Okay? And so this is how we met. And I talked to her. And then come to find out, I was going to Egypt that August, and she got back the month before, July. You see? So I said, well, look, I've never been to Egypt. That was in 1990, what was it, 92. And I said, I've never been to Egypt, and so she gave me some pointers, what to do and what not to do. And but I made a mistake and started drinking some of their milk and stuff. I mean, ate some ice cream over and got sick. You know. So anyway, I called her and we talked for 3 hours, and then I missed a day, and I called her that Wednesday. We talked another 3 hours, and then I invited her down to the museum for that weekend. You see, and she came down on my birthday. That's how we met, on my birthday. I was sitting on the porch of the museum. She came up to the gate, and I said, Arnetta? She said, yeah. I said, come up. So she came up and showed her around the museum. And long story short, I said, can you come back next week? She said, yes, I can come back next week. And so we talked all during that week, because I was only open on Saturdays and Sundays. So we talked, every time we talked for 2 and 3 and 4 hours at a time. So I was beginning to like this chick, you know. So anyway, she came back the second week, and then I asked her, can you come back the third week? She said, no, I'm going to be out of town. But anyway, that's how we met. Why? Because we had like minds. There was an attraction there. So you can't force. Now, a lot of my students that I teach, I'm teaching them historical origin of these various religions. And they say, well, my wife or my girlfriend is a Christian, and she don't want me to attend these classes. I said, well, you don't have to come. It's up to you. You know. I said, see, you're a free-willed human being, and you shouldn't. But she should get this knowledge. No, I don't say that. She's a free-willed human being too. She wants to go to church. She has a right to go to church. She has a right to go to church. If that's what she wants to do, you have no right to tell her not to go to church, and she has no right to tell you not to come to my classes. Huh? She has no right to do that. See? So if there's a confliction between you and your mate or whatever, then she has a right to do what she wants to do, and you have a right to do what you want to do, and you both will be happy. Just don't tell me to get me a cross. I'm not gonna get no cross. See? If you want to get a cross, 2 or 3 of them, fine. Put it all around your neck. But don't bother me with that. And I have a right to not to be bothered with it. As long as I'm not telling you not to put that cross around your neck, if you want to do that, fine. So that would be my answer to you. Now, that you have a relationship where there's a conflict there, or what?
Yes.
Okay, that's the answer. She has no right to tell you not to do or not to study and expand your knowledge. You have that human right. You owe that to yourself. But you do not have a right to impose anything on her, because you're not her creator. You didn't create her. But then you tell her don't do that. That's wrong. Okay, who's next? Any more? I can't see. Okay. Who's next? Oh, I'm sorry.
I have 2 questions. My first question is...
Speak a little louder.
Okay. My first question is about prayer. more see it as, I don't know, I use prayer as a way to bring up my higher self or bring voice to my thoughts that I have no way of or are not sure how to get them answered. You know, questions that aren't answered that you need answers to kind of find fulfillment. And I feel like by praying, I'm letting my ancestors know and letting God know how I feel, so maybe those questions can come, the answers can come back to me. So I guess my question is, what is prayer? I mean, besides, you know, is there a way to define prayer other than begging? I mean, is it a higher spiritual manifestation when you pray? And then my other question is...
No. Just deal with that. Then you can go to the next one. See, because we're a little bit lost in the cracks. Now, what I'm trying to say is this. Praying is a form of begging. When you know who you are spiritually, what was given to you at the time of your birth, how your pineal gland, which is your human function that keeps you in consciousness, the bottom of that is your nostril that keeps you alive, your body with air and so forth, keeps you in consciousness, and keeps you in contact with the universe, okay? That's how you are contacting the universe. When you decide, now, do you have a car? Okay. The day that you decided you want a car, did you pray for that car? Or did you make up your mind that you want? Is that correct? Is that right? But anyway, you wanted a car. No matter how you got it, you wanted that car, right? Okay. So therefore, you have put in a request. You made a statement. I want a car. I need a car. Is that right? And the car was manifested in your life by way of your mother giving you a car as a gift. Is that right? Right. Now, so therefore, what you did was contact the universe first. Okay? The universe gave you what you asked it for. Okay? Had nothing to do with God. You ever hear that little voice that's inside of you that tells you things? Religion substitute that little voice inside of the human being as God. See? That's what they substitute that for. They substitute that little voice as being, oh, that's God. You're praying to God. No, you're not. You're making a statement within your own humanity that's connected to the universe, the things that you want to manifest in your life in its physical form. Do you see that?
So by me praying, I'm just speaking things into existence. Eventually I will come in contact, or they'll manifest themselves.
If you get up to do something to get them, to work toward it, you just can't sit there and say, I'm going to pray, and just knock come on the door and say, your car's outside. You got to...
So it's part, it's manifestation and action. Manifestation and action.
Right. Okay. You got to... And now you want to add something to that?
Well, I'm thinking, in her particular case, she is trying to make a connection with her ancestors. I think I heard you say that.
That's part of it.
Okay. Sending and receiving, but I'm thinking that you are going to the sending and receiving of messages from the universe between each other or what have you, in order to make that connection. So I think, I don't know if prayer is the right word. Sometimes when we talk about meditation, but I think there's more of a focus in here. When we get still and be quiet, okay, to put it in practical terms. Because I think some of us have different ideas about what prayer is, what meditation is, but she's really trying to make a connection here.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm saying that's a necessary thing for us to be still, be quiet, and clarify our thoughts, and speak our thoughts, and receive something back.
Right. Because to answer whatever you want, all you got to do is make up your mind that this is what I want. Declare what you want. And the universe will send it back to you in its physical form.
If you need it. If you need it, right?
If you want it.
If you want it.
Right. Okay? And if you want it, then you will need it. Some people, if you're in need of something, then you want that. Okay? So it's going to come back to you if you send the message out. And see, the religion say, oh, that's prayer. And the message that you, the human being, is now this message that you're sending to the universe is going through your pineal gland. That's the conduit that sends the messages. That's the conduit that gives you back the message from the universe, the answer. You see that? And they call that, they call that the religion people, they say that's God. See? Gives you a God that you can't see. It's invisible. God is omnipotent. See? So your mind is omnipotent because the universe goes off into infinity.
I would make one other comment. As we've said before, God becomes abstract and impersonal. When we were dealing with our ancestors, those are the people that we know that we're looking to continue to give us guidance beyond the physical realm. So I think the ancestors are on the right track with that, as opposed to something that's impersonal and abstract. So we can down to something that's concrete.
Okay.
That's where we need to be, giving honor and recognition to those who we know would have our best interests at heart. Who love us, we love them. Who cares about us, we care about it. When we start giving the credit and looking to something that's not real, then we're getting into something else.
Correct.
Can I just add to that? That might help.
This young man will add some. Go ahead.
I think in order for her to be more connected to who you really are, you need to look into the goddess Ma'at. Its teachings are more in tune with the laws of African peoples. I don't mean laws, but that's how it's presented. It's a way of life. Principle.
No, that's the negative principle.
Yeah, the negative.
Yeah, that's not what he's talking about.
That's what we look upon God as far as our ancestors, and we can do that. But we can also look upon our personal ancestors to make that personal connection.
Yes, and what we're talking about here is a personal thing for a human being. It has nothing to do with anything that's outside of that human being's humanity. So she's saying, how do I use my humanity to contact the universe for the thing that I want, or whatever the case might be. That's something that's done inside. He says that goes back to the first step of liberation, knowing who you are spiritually, and everything that the answers that I have given you for that answer, and the answer that my wife Arnetta has given you for that answer, and you can collectively take those answers. And do you understand what we're saying to you? Okay, now what's your second question?
I just wanted you to explain a little bit about the setting Jews, basic, the ones that I guess they're all over, mainly here in Brooklyn, like in certain pockets and sections. I've always been fascinated about their separation from traditional, like this,
Who are you talking about now?
Hasidic Jews.
Oh, Hasidic Jews, okay. Well, like I said before, Judaism, first place, in order for you to understand your question, or any question pertaining to the Jews, you have to know the historical origin of Judaism. Or if you want to know about Christianity, you have to know the historical origin of Christianity. If you don't know anything about Muslim or Islam, you have to know the historical origin of Islam. You have to know the historical origin of anything. Okay? Now,
and let me just say this, I'm sorry. I know that's a vague question. I mean, that's a wide open question. I guess I could narrow it down to specific focus. But
okay.
I'll just let you.
No, go ahead. What is
because I really don't have a specific. That's the thing. That's why it's a wide open question. So I guess you can give me.
No, you said Hasidic. What is it that you really want to know? See, I can't answer your question unless you tell me exactly, pinpoint it down.
What is their basis for the separation and the complete lifestyle they have within their own community setting? What dictates them besides their, the laws and their religion that make them keep unto themselves basically looking at other people as, Gentile, you know what I mean? Like basically that they don't feel the need to be
Part of it.
Of other community people, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's set up on purpose. want to portray to the masses of the people around the world that there's something different. You see, in the Old Testament, they tell you that you should love the Jew, or love the God of the Jew, in order for you to be blessed, etc., etc. So they walk around thinking that there's something special. This is all part of the hype, you see? So, and they're fooled too now, because they believe the story, you see? But see, the real deal comes down to this. Judaism is a paper religion. Has nothing to do with human beings starting out now. Has nothing to do with human beings living in a certain geographical land area. And issuing from that geographical land area a people and a religion called Judaism. No. Judaism is based on narrative stories put into the minds of a Christian, Muslim, and the synagogue-going Jew. So what they have done, they have created a world based on the Bible stories. You see that? They have done it because they have the money to do that. Because Judaism is a form of capitalism.
Right. And that's the link.
That's your link. It's a form of capitalism. Judaism is a religion of the capitalist. You see? But now let's break that down. All capitalists are not Jews. Okay? The Rockefeller family, by them being a capitalist, they are what? Jews. But they are, religiously, they are Baptist Christian, the Rockefellers. Okay? Now, let's go to the Rothschild. The Rothschild family are Jews, but they don't go to the synagogue. See, they could give less than a damn about all those rituals. That's for the fools and the lames out there. You ever heard of George Soros? You remember, anybody heard of George Soros, the billionaire that put up money to try to defeat Bush? Okay. He was interviewed on 60 Minutes, and George Wallace interviewed him. Mike Wallace and George Wallace was the segregationist, I'm sorry. Anyway, Mike Wallace interviewed him. He asked him, said, Mr. Soros, do you believe in God? He says, no, I don't believe in no God. He said, I believe in God, I can't do what I do. See, believing in God is for the lame, it's for the square. He's one of the cats. You see what I mean? See, so you remember the first prime minister of the illegal state of Israel was named David Ben Gurion, right? David Ben Gurion was an atheist. He didn't believe in no God. He didn't believe all the most stories in the Bible. That's for the fools out there. If you want to go there, fine. He was a Zionist. See, a Zionist is altogether different. It means that he don't necessarily have to go to the synagogue or believe in the Sefer Torah. He don't believe in that stuff. He's a Zionist. Okay? Nathan Birnbaum is the father of Zionism by creating socialist Zionism in 1880. Theodore Herzl was the father of political Zionism, 1896. Right, he was an atheist. See? So you have 29 or 30 Zionist groups. Okay? They don't believe in that junk. Capitalist, a man is a capitalist, he don't believe in that. I'm going to show you, for instance, South Africa, the apartheid system, right? You had those capitalists under De Beers and Oppenheimer had control of all the diamond, the gold, and mineral mines of South Africa. Is that right? Yeah. And in South Africa, for the masses of people in the secular community, they had many different religious groups coming in and denominations trying to tranquilize the people, okay? And feed them some type of religion, right? But I always said, if you want to change somebody, go down to De Beers and Oppenheimer and the ones that own the diamond, the gold, and the mineral mines, the ones who created apartheid, change their mind. Give them the religion and see what happens to you. You get thrown out of South Africa. They don't want that junk. That's for the fools out there. Come on, there is room at the cross. And all those stupid stuff. And Islam alaikum. I'm a black Hebrew. They don't, hey, fine. If that's what you want, fine. Just get out of my way because I'm making me some money. And you'll keep all that stuff. Okay? All right. Who's next? Okay, young man.
Yeah, some books. Historical origin of Christianity. Islam. What about Judaism? Have you mentioned?
Well, not yet. My wife and I, we're compiling a book now for the historical origin of Judaism. But I've touched on some very key things if you really understood what I said about Judaism. Judaism is a paper religion. It has nothing to do with human history. See? Write that down. Write it down on your paper. It said Judaism is a paper religion, and it has nothing to do with human history.
You said you got another question.
Okay, I'm gonna get to it. As soon as you write that down.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. I can't rush you.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any literature or books or anything about King James? Because I heard a lot of Christians go to this particular book. They speak about God said this, God said that, and I get into a big debate with them about the book. But nobody has any literature about King James. They tell me everything about God, but they tell me nothing about this author named King James. Okay. So I was wondering, anything, I heard a lot of negative things, like he's homosexual and killed his mother and so on and so forth. But I don't see nothing in writing. Okay. I was wondering any literature that you could recommend.
All right, now I'm gonna give you the answer. Listen, King James did not write the King James Version of the Bible. It had nothing to do with it. It was a book that was dedicated to him. And I'm gonna tell you who wrote the King James Version. A man by the name of Lancelot Andrews, Andewse. Andewse. Andrews. Lancelot Andrews. You look him up, get your encyclopedia, and look up Lancelot Andrews. See? Andewes. That's how you spell it. Okay? Lancelot Andrews. He and his group of theologians, English theologians, compiled what we know today as the King James Version for the King James. See, King James had nothing to do with this. You see, it's like if I write a book and dedicate it to Oprah Winfrey. Oprah didn't have nothing to do with the book. I wrote the damn book. You see that? Now, listen to what happened in the King James Version. Now, let's go back. Give you a little breakdown on the history of the Bible. Let's see what the first printing of what is known as the Hebrew or Old Testament Bible was printed in 1475 in Germany. Okay? That's the first printing of the Old Testament. 1475, the Roman Catholic Church was only 30 years old, because that's the second seat of Christianity. It's Europe. And on the outskirts of Rome, in 1445, they built St. Peter's Church, known today as St. Peter's Basilica, over the catacombs. The catacombs are the burial ground, where they bury people below ground. So today, that's where the Vatican was built. You got that? Okay. So, in 1475, the first Hebrew Bible came out in print. Now, in 1437, a man by the name of Johannes Gutenberg had invented a printing press with movable print for the very first time. But the problem, after inventing that, he had no money. So what he did was borrow money from Johannes Fuss, a capitalist. So at a high interest rate, a usury rate. And he couldn't pay it back, so Johannes Fuss confiscated that printing press from Johannes Gutenberg. But there was a problem. After confiscating a printing press with movable print, that means that you can print up thousands of books and literature. Is that correct? But that in the secular community in Europe, the Europeans couldn't read or write. That's the problem. Okay? So now we're talking about the 15th and 16th century. Okay? So now, what the capitalists and Europeans did with this printing press, what can we do? We got to make some money off this printing press. So what they did, they went into the Roman Catholic Church and got Martin Luther. Remember Martin Luther? Who started what is known as the Protestant movement, or the protest movement against the Roman Catholic Church in 1517. He nailed 95 reform theses on the church door in Wittenberg, Germany, for the Roman Catholic Church to reform. Okay, who was Martin Luther financed by? Jews, capitalists. Okay, he was financed by them to do that, to start what is known in history as the second Renaissance era of Europe, the age of learning. The first Renaissance was in the 15th century. That was the age of arts and crafts, building in Europe. Okay? Now, with that Protestant movement or protest movement, the Roman Catholic Church had no literature. Getting up to the King James. The Roman Catholic Church had no literature. So in their church, they had a homosexual by the name of Desiderius Erasmus. It's in my book. And my wife talks about it, and I'll talk about it in the history of ordinary Christianity. Desiderius Erasmus. I'm not saying that he was a homosexual on my own. He is known as a world-renowned homosexual. Okay? It's not just Walter Williams saying it. Okay? They got books out there with his name on the front cover of the world's most famous homosexual, and Desiderius Erasmus is on the front cover. Okay? Now, Pope Alexander VI in 1500 commissioned Desiderius Erasmus to write something on the object of Christianity. The something on the object of Christianity is what? Jesus the Christ. See, there ain't no literature. You see? So he came out after 16 years with what is known as the Novum Instrumentum of Mark, Matthew, and Luke. And they always tell you that John came later. Is that correct? Okay, we're going to get to John. Okay, now, Mark, Matthew, and Luke. And then Erasmus wrote 6 other manuscripts. 1 and 2 Peter, 1 and 2 Corinthians, Galatians, and Epistle to the Romans. Those are his 9 manuscripts. Okay? So he created what is known as the Novum Instrumentum in 1516. 1519, they changed it from the Novum Instrumentum to the Novum Testamentum. And in 1535, they changed it to the New Testament. See, this is history. You see? Has nothing to do with tradition. Tradition is not telling you this. Okay? But you have to study human world history to find out this information. See, the word novum means new. Testamentum means testament. You see that? Now, let's move up a little further. Now, the Novum Instrumentum was written with Greek letters. Okay? Not English letters. The first person to translate the New Testament out of the Greek alphabet into Greek alphabet is a misnomer, but then we're going to use that term so we can understand what we're talking about. So the first person to translate the New Testament out of the Greek letters into English letters was a man by the name of William Tyndale. You ever heard of him? Okay. 1525. Okay? And then there's a man by the name of Miles Coverdale. I'm giving you a little overview on the history of the Bible. Miles Coverdale, from 1539 to 1541, he wrote 3 Bibles. One was the Great Bible dedicated to Henry VIII. And the second one was the Cranmer Bible, because Thomas Cranmer was his ecclesiastical advisor. And the third one was the Geneva Bible. Thomas Cranmer told Henry VIII how to get out of his marriage. Because at the time, the Church of England was part of the Roman Catholic Church. So the Roman Catholic Church had rules that if you marry, that's it. So Thomas Cranmer showed him how to get out of that. Said, take this church, the Church of England, and omit the Pope. To hell with the Pope. And you go ahead and get your divorce and get this other woman that you're in love with. Okay? And when Henry VIII died, you know what they did to Thomas Cranmer? They tied it to a stake and burned it. Okay? So you bastards, you. But anyway.
That's the one that dug back up and stomped his ashes.
Right. Yeah. Now, let's move a little further. Those friars out of France created the French Bible, which is a Bible that was a censored Bible, because it was censored by the Pope. In other words, the Pope dictated to these friars. The word friar means brother, Christian brothers, of what to put in that Bible. See? So now, we're talking about, they came out this censored Bible, the Douay Bible, with the Old Testament first. Okay, and we're talking about a time of like I said, the 16th century. Okay, so now, I'm sorry, 16th century, and then in the 17th century, the beginning of the 17th century, the same friars came out with in 1610 a censored version of the Old Testament. Now, what the Protestant has to do now is create a Bible to counter that. You see? So what they did, they created the King James Version under Lancelot Andrew that I was telling you about. He and his group of theologians, you look it up, and get your encyclopedia, look up Lancelot Andrew, and he'll tell you about what he did, how he created the King James Version with his group of theologians. And guess what? Nobody's telling you this. Guess what came out in the King James Version? The 4th Gospel. John came out in that King James Version for the very first time, because Erasmus came out with the Novum Instrumentum of the New Testament only with the 3 Gospels, Mark, Matthew, and Luke. And they always tell you that John came later. It did in the King James Version. And in the King James Version, when John came out, guess who was a Jew? Jesus the Christ. Huh? You see that? See? And does that answer your question? All right, now let me bring this to you while I got you all tuned up. The first seat of Christianity was in Africa, in the Hagia Sophia, in Constantinople, Turkey, because Turkey, in that region, in that area, they saying it is the Middle East. That's a misnomer to keep you, Africans, from knowing that that part of the world is part of the continent of Africa. It goes from Turkey down to Yemen, and the countries in between. The countries in between is Arabia, Saudi Arabia. And in 1920, they took part of Saudi Arabia and made Iraq out of it. Iran is in there too. And Jordan is in there, is that right? In 1928, they made the country called Jordan. because the British was given a mandate for all of that territory after World War I, because they had defeated and overthrew the Ottoman Turkish Empire. And the League of Nations in 1920 gave them a mandate for all of that land. You see? So what happened, I'm going to fast forward a little bit. In that land, you have, like I said, Turkey, you have Yemen, you have Saudi Arabia, you have Iraq, you have Iran, you have Jordan, you have Syria, you have Lebanon, Beirut, etc., etc. All that's part of the continent of Africa. Okay? Now, let's go back to Hagia Sophia. I'm going to tell you something. Now, watch where I'm going with this now. It's very important, because nobody's telling you this. In the Hagia Sophia, which was in Constantinople, Turkey, and Constantinople, Turkey was the seat and the capital of the Byzantine Eastern African Roman Empire. Okay? And they built a walled city that they call Constantinople. You see that? And in that city, they had the world's first Christian church and the world's first university for the Europeans, called the Church of Hagia Sophia. Okay? They don't want you to know. You don't hear nothing about no Church of Hagia Sophia. Preachers don't know nothing about it. Okay? Even the Roman Catholic priest. A friend of mine who lives in Seattle, Washington, he walks up to the Roman Catholic priest and said, "Have you ever heard of the Church of Hagia Sophia?" He says, "No." And he's a priest. See, so I'm the one, and my wife, Arnetta, we're the ones that's bringing out this information for our African community. I want you to be here. I want you to be down with the gang. Okay? I want you to be one of the cats. Hey, baby, what's happening? See, you got all the answers. I want you to have that. Now, let me fast forward to get to my point. When the Ottoman Turks took over and overran the Byzantine emperors, they took the last vestige of those Byzantine emperors and they went and they hid them up in the walled city, the double walled city of the Church of of Constantinople. Okay? Long story short, the Byzantine emperor had ecclesiastical control and political control of that church. Anything that was religious, they appointed the people to be part of the religious order. So they had ecclesiastical control. They appointed the patriarch of the Hagia Sophia, and they appointed the patriarch of Constantinople. The patriarch of the Hagia Sophia was a Diophysitic Christian. Now you may not understand what I'm talking about, you have to read the book, sir. And the patriarch of Constantinople was a monophysite. So, but he had, as a Byzantine emperor, he had control of all religious order, thoughts, and activities. So now, under the donation of Constantine, now you have to read, see the donation of Constantine, in my book, I talk about all the council meetings, like the Nicene Council, you heard of the Nicene Council, 325? There are three historical things, and I think I'm the only scholar to bring that out of any race view code. There are three historical things that brought about the Council of Nicaea to come about in 325. That one was the Donatist Schismatic Controversy. Two was the donation of Constantine. And three, the strong statement by Arius. But anyway, here we are in 1439. John VIII, the 8th, was the Byzantine ruler. Okay? And those Turks, they had control of all of the Byzantine territories, all throughout Africa, all in the Balkans, and all in southern Russia, and all up into Russia and so forth. They had, that was their territory. But that used to be the territory of the Byzantine Empire. Now it's in the hands of the Turks, Ottoman Turks. Okay? So what they did, John VIII did, you see, it was very eminent that the Church of okay? Because the Ottoman Turks was outside of that city, okay? And they were fighting to get in. But anyway, John VIII in 1439 went to Italy, in Florence, Italy, at a council that's known in history as the Council of Ferrara. And he merged the Eastern Church. Now, what's the Eastern Church? It's the Hagia Sophia, the first seat of Christianity, with the West. He gave away his donation of Constantine, his authority. He gave away his ecclesiastical authority. That paved the way for the seat of Christianity to be moved out of Africa now into Europe. Okay? And that's when they picked the area outside of Rome, the suburbs of Rome, over the catacombs, to build what is known as the Vatican. You see that? 1445. You see? Now, the seat of Christianity moved out of Africa into Europe now, right? Now watch this. Watch. Are you listening? Now watch this. When the seed of Christianity moved out of Africa into Europe, guess what happened? The Last Supper came about. Christ had 12 disciples. All came about, right? The crucifixion of Christ came about, right? Now all this isn't happening. Okay? They said that Jesus Christ was born 30 AD. Okay? So now why did it wait to over 1,400 years to say that the crucifixion, Christ was crucified? Why did it say that this Christ was at the Last Supper with the 12 disciples and all of them white folk? They didn't have no African up there holding the fan, fanning them. Didn't have that. They had all white, just total white. Huh? You see that? See what happened? All when they went to who created the Last Supper? Leonardo da Vinci. He drew it. And what did they do? Writers put stories behind that. That this is Christ having the Last Supper with his 12 disciples. See? And the religious community are asleep. Because they sit in the pews. They don't have to think. Just sit up there and believe. And listen to this Reverend Teeny Weeny. And believe this stuff. But when Christianity moved out of Africa into Europe, you get what? You get the Last Supper, you get Christ and the 12 disciples, you get the crucifixion, you get Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene was created by who? Leonardo da Vinci. Okay? The crucifixion was created by whom? Raphael and Michelangelo. All of that, see? And stories went behind that. See, there's a history to that. Then all of your biblical characters came out in Europe. Go back to the Old Testament. The Old Testament was written by Moses' Maimon, called Maimonides. You see that? See, the first 5 books of Moses. Was it the first 5 books of Moses' Maimon? Huh? Wasn't the Moses of the Bible? The Jews said Moses never existed and had no record of no Moses. Huh? That's the thing. But we had to have scholars to come before you and bring you this information. That's the reason why Shabazz, Brother Shabazz and his wife brought me here to tell you and give you this message. See? Jamila. She's the cause of me coming here and my wife coming here. She got on that computer. Give her a hand. That's right. She got on that computer and got those tickets for me and my wife. That's right. Shabazz, but she got to get the money from Shabazz. That's okay, we got it. You see that? And then here comes the New Testament out of Europe. You see that? Erasmus, Lancelot Andrews, all those biblical characters came forth out of Europe. Why did they come forth in Africa? wasn't there. See? But no one is telling you this. See? So, any other questions? Right.
Yes, like back there and back.
Okay, can speak out because I can't see so on this light. So.
How does the wars link back to ancient Kemet? Would it be in, ancient and would it be, is it the same reference as calling something war?
No, because see, the most important name that you can identify ourselves as a group is ancient Egypt. Because all civilization came from ancient Egypt, nothing more.
So how did it become, how did the ancient Egypt, how did they, ancient Egyptians come over?
Moor is a nickname. Okay? A Moor is an individual who comes out of North Africa, out of Mauritania and Morocco, crossing the Mediterranean, going into Spain. Okay? They gave you two Moors. I wrote about the Moors in the History of Order of Islam. They gave you two Moors. They gave you the Saracen Moor, which is a European Moor. In 711, this Saracen Moor came out of Morocco, crossed the Mediterranean into Spain, and brought Islam in there. That's not true. It's not true. It's historically incorrect. Because Islam is a religion based upon a book called the Quran. And without the Quran, you have no Islam. Prior to the book being created by Jews, called the Holy Quran, you had Mohammedanism. Okay? You had Mohammedanism. So what they're saying about some Moors coming out of North Africa, crossing the Mediterranean, going into Spain, and brought Islam is historically incorrect. Now, let me talk about the real Moors. The real Moors are African. And we're talking about a time of 1054, when these African Melkite Coptic Egyptian people, known today in history as the Moors, went into Spain. They went into Spain and they created a civilization there among the Spanish, pagan, heathen Europeans. And they were the ones that built those great cities of Cordova, Seville, and all those cities that you see over there that is of greatness. And they built those cities over there, thus bringing a civilization to that part of the world. Okay? I heard Duke Ellington one day being interviewed. This is an old interview. And he said that, our jazz musicians, a lot of those guys was very intellectual. And he said that we as a people, African people, brought civilization 3 times to the world. In Egypt, Spain, and America. Okay? So, the real Moors, who are Africans, came into Spain in 1054. That's your date. And they brought a civilization into Spain because they brought a form of writing into Spain that is known as the Arabic script. They use what is known as the Arabic script for decoration. Decorating buildings and so on.
Don't know what to read? You can start here. Okay, that would keep you going for a while.